Travels of the Ellis Arbor is an audio narrative set in the world of Bastion using 5e compatible characters. Tune in for episode 26, Edict. Restlessly, the crew paused to hear what the captain had to say on the matter. Until now, the devil within Ed's mind had only addressed the captain. It never had the reason or the rationale to reveal itself to the rest of the crew. Edward's life may have been in danger, but they grappled with worse predicaments. Darian holstered his pistol, lay his hammer on the ground, and took a few steps toward his gunsmith. Nerves continued to build until finally the hush was broken. Not by the captain, but by the rash, grainy cadence of Carpathian. "You should have come to me as soon as this occurred, child. You know it is my specialty to deal with such icons of malice. To whom am I speaking?" Before Darian could turn to interject, the voice that had overcome Ed spoke in reply. "You're certain you can siphon my true name from just a conversation, aren't you? Come now, wizard. Surely you understand that I've observed long enough from behind Edward's gaze to know your tricks." A slow turn and a ponderous look as Carpathian grinned in reply. "You seem so confident, as if you've already won a battle we've yet to fight. Trust me when I say I've no concern in extracting your name through force." His quip was sharply ended as Darian swung his hammer low, catching the end of Carpathian's staff. It kicked from underneath the hobgoblin's weight, flipping out of his grasp and sending him plummeting to the stone. Nout and Moore barely stifled a laugh as they saw Carpathian's otherwise composed form hit the ground with a thud. Darian measured the situation. Carpathian was certain to make things difficult should he cast a spell over Ed. He'd do anything to extract the true name of a devil to add to his grimoire. Such was his vast accumulation of true names. Another would be like a drop in the bucket. Darian had to take command of the situation before things got truly unwieldy. Thumbing the trigger of his pistol, he gathered his courage, pulling it free from the holster and placing it firm between the eyes of his bewitched gunslinger. Both Nout and Moore reached for a weapon, but were utterly stunned by the captain's retaliation. A silence crept over the crew, and a toothy smirk appeared over Edward's face. "Edward is our companion. Do not assume I wouldn't commit any sin for him. No matter the hold you think you have over his soul, I would sooner tear it from his bones than allow you to corrupt it further. I am not afraid of you. We are not afraid of you. Speak your warning and be gone." Tensions now grew to bursting as the crew, still holding their breath, awaited the conniving and burning retort. "You make a fair point, Darian. I'd not thought you so keen to bargain with the life of your friend. I didn't take you for such a cold individual. I'm otherwise impressed. Take your pistol from I'm sorry, Edward's face, and we'll chat. Shall we?" The grin turned to an awful, impertinent beam that sent a shiver through even Carpathian's spine. Reluctantly, Darian holstered his pistol and motioned for the voice to proceed. Dusting off the cracked dust and ash from his garments, the voice within Ed arose once more, confident and commanding as a practiced and verbose bureaucrat. "That woman, Araquiel. She's hiding something baleful from you and the rest of that ill-begotten town. You may not be able to perceive it, but a darkness hangs over the Hemvala parish. I'm confident that she is the point of origin. For as much as she gave me conniptions in her vacuous confidence, her want for Ethereum is enough of a clue into her motives. Let me give you a seminar in ether chromatic manipulation. Both Rouge and Verd Ethereum are said to allow manipulation of Aether, the soul. Aether can be funneled, focused, or refracted through it like a glass lens. Red Ethereum is often used to empower and stabilize medicines. It has a way of focusing the essence of a soul back into its body and can expedite the healing of wounds. Green Ethereum, however, has a very different property. It can bend, warp, and shape a soul in whatever reflection the bearer sees fit. If you wanted to transmute or convert a soul with magic, then Verd Ethereum is as good an arcane focus as you can find. What's more, it is the required component in order to graft a soul onto another. Or, if one was so inclined, replace a soul with another. Facsimile or otherwise, it can transfer the soul of one creature into another. The voice paused, just for a moment, allowing the brief, guided tour of etheric manipulation to wash over the crew before it continued. I'm confident that this wizard is attempting to transmute her soul. And if I'm not misguided, I suspect she has a particular soul in mind. Darian cut in with a sharpness he rarely summoned. His hand was still firmly placed upon the butt of his pistol, fingers gripping tight in preparation. What business do we have in meddling with the operations of a wizard? She's a scholar. There's little value in tethering ourselves to whatever ambitions she may have. If she is trying to turn herself into something else, the town guard can deal with her. All the better. Someone can pay us to deal with her if she becomes a threat. Darian turned to the remainder of the crew, hoping for some kind of confirmation. Though, even Nout seemed enamored by thoughts other than the current situation. Whether they were poised for a retort or paralyzed by fear, he couldn't glean much from them now. Moore, in particular, stood still in contemplation, staring blankly at Ed's form. Do what you will. I'm not in a position to make demands of you or your crew. Just know this. He paused once more. This time, a soft wind began to turn around Ed's frame. The ash and dust began to swirl as the wind billowed. Darkness began to creep into the area as if a great cloud had covered overhead. The red eye burned once more as the voice began to echo through the plains and beyond. If you bring Verd Ethereum to that woman, she will bring a pain so foul upon you and your kin, it will chase you to the very ends of this realm. This is the truth that I bring. And finally, all at once, the wind subsided. The darkness left, and the commanding voice carried over the hills and away. Should all come to ruin, as you say, then that will be our fate. I will not be swayed by your ominous threats. This is my crew, and I am its captain. Say what you will, we are the customary bearers of our own fate. We will choose how to walk. We will choose our own path. You can join us from whatever realm you're trapped in or be gone. You decide. Parasite. All at once, the fire and anger drained from Ed. His form seemed to slump a little, and he fell to one side. He steadied himself with his rifle, holding it tight as he surveyed the outcropping. Satisfied with his stockade of the area, he turned toward the still waiting Darian and the rest of the crew. "I'm guessing that the voice came back again. You seem pretty beat up. Care to fill me in on the details?" At the return of Ed's voice, an audible sigh of relief reverberated through the crew, and more staggered towards their friend, glad to hear a familiar voice once more. And so, gathering their thoughts and belongings, the crew began to discuss this edict that the malicious voice announced barely moments ago. Nout was efficient, collecting as much Ethereum as his side-splitting bag could contain. They all came to the same conclusion. Darian was right. No matter the reality of their fate, they would be the ones to enact it. They had spent so long being chased by cultists, demons, and devils, it became second nature to align themselves with their own purpose. That was, after all, why they had become members of the crew of the Ellis Arbor in the first place. To be a pirate was to be untethered from all but their own ambitions. A sack full of crystals and a mind full of more questions, the crew began their arduous trek home to the Hemvala parish. With luck, they would return in time to confer with the locals. Whether the threats of that infernal voice rang true, surely those that knew Araquiel could shed some light on their sinister predicament. Travels of the Ellis Arbor is made possible by the generous support of our subscribers, followers, and most notably, our patrons. Thanks to all our Moon, Wedge, Crown, and Hex tier patrons for supporting us so far on this journey. Please subscribe, give a like or a comment, follow us on Twitter, and stay tuned for the next episode. Make sure to follow us here on YouTube, on Spotify, and on twitch.tv/lonomy. Don't forget, take care of each other.